Hello everybody, welcome to my Analog Project 2012. For the month of March, we're featuring the Mamiya U. This camera, released by Mamiya in 1981, is a 35mm zone focus camera that has an all plastic body. This camera also features a 35mm lens that shoots at f2.8. It sits behind this lens cover, which is activated by a switch here on the top of the camera. So you grab the switch and you pull it to the side to expose the lens. That keeps dust and fingerprints off the lens when the lens is in travel. The camera has an ISO range from 25 to 400 and is selectable with this little lever here on the side. You rotate this lever up and down and you can select your ISO here in the little window. This right here is a light meter. This camera has an automatic exposure system, so there's not much else you can do outside of playing with your ISO to give yourself a little variety with your photographs. The camera also has a pop-up flash activated by a switch here. When you pop that switch, the flash starts to charge automatically. To turn it off, you simply press the flash back down into the housing. You also have a self-timer, gives you 12 seconds before you take a shot. The self-timer indicator here on the front of the camera as well will flash red. Walking around the camera again, on top here you have the lever that closes the lens or puts the lens cover over the lens, your shutter release button, frame counter, film advance wheel, viewfinder here on the side. On the bottom we have the film rewind crank right here. It's collapsible into the body of the camera, which is nice. Tripod socket and the frame rewind button here to activate the rewind. This camera runs on AAA batteries, which drop down inside this little well right here. Outside of that, there's not much else about this camera. Very simple, very easy to use. This 35mm lens is very sharp and puts out great images as long as you get your focus, your zone focus somewhat correct. And it's pretty idiot proof. This camera does very well with most shots. One of the downsides to this camera, as far as this design, Mamiya chose to use a little thin plastic rubbery film over the shutter release button, and that film would that button would wear out. It's very smooth, runs right across. It would wear out from exposure to air, dust, dirt, oils from your hands. Within a year, that button would just literally decompose and you'd end up peeling it off and there'd be a little switch up under there. So that was pretty much a bummer. I don't know if you can still see some of the red on there, and it's real tacky, almost like wax after a while. So I just kind of dug it all out of there, and I had to do a little DIY to get a shutter button on there. If you look closely, you probably can tell that that's a thumbtack. I snipped the point off of a thumbtack and I super glued or hot glued that thing on there to give me some sort of shutter button to press. Because if I didn't do that, I'd have to stick my finger down in a hole to take the picture. This camera came in two models. I believe it was a silver and a black. The black one was hard to find. It's more of a rare color camera. This camera was released, I believe, in Japan, so it wasn't very popular over here in the US unless it traveled over with someone and was eventually sold in a camera store or a pawn shop or something like that. But when you see these online, almost all of them will be missing the shutter button. So keep that in mind if you go after this camera. Outside of that, this camera is fun to use. It's really great for lomography. Real simple color shots, Lomo shots. I use it a lot for red scale film. This camera does a great job. This is the Mamiya U for the month of March, my Analog Project 2012. We'll see you next month with another camera. Thanks for watching.